Welcome to Hollywood, California, where a man named Quentin Tarantino made a film called Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And that's the filming location spots we're going to find today here on the World of Micah. It looks like I'm at Disney's Hollywood Studios, but I am not. I am here at the Real Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard. And they're setting up for the Oscars right now. That's what's going on all down here. The Oscars are this week. But right outside of the Chinese Theater is where the Quentin Tarantino Hollywood Walk of Fame star is. And we're here for a few days, and we're going to be doing a chunk of these locations in one day, but we're going to be doing a few of them starting today. Starting here at the Chinese Theater, the great movie ride. Hi everybody, welcome to the World of Micah. Let's find the filming locations from Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, let's take a closer look. Also, Quentin Tarantino has his handprints signature from 2016 here at the Chinese Theater. And our adventure begins here at Musso and Frank Grill since 1919. This is where Cliff Booth and Rick Dalton meet up with Mr. Schwartz, and they have a dinner, and he tells Rick that he's got to start making Italian films since he's kind of had it here in Hollywood. He keeps playing the heavy. And if he wants to make a name for himself, he goes out there and wins some fights. Come back to Hollywood, you made a name for yourself. We're going to match up as much as we can over here. They did film inside. I'm not going to be able to get inside. I will insert those photos so you can see exactly what they did film inside. Several scenes. And I believe it was in the classic dining. I believe that was where he walked in, was the classic side. There are two sides. You have a private dining and the classic dining. And the classic dining is exactly how it was back in the day. Let's head over. We're going to sign the parking lot. All kinds of stuff. But this is where I wanted to start. Officially start the locations. But also in the film, Hollywood Boulevard can be seen throughout a lot of the opening scenes. Them driving up and down Hollywood Boulevard. And there's a gate here blocking the spot. It took place right over there. But where it says Musso and Frank Grill since 1919, that's where Rick and Cliff were standing, and he told Cliff, he said, "It's official, old buddy, I'm a has-been." They got in the car and they drove out this way, and right over here, Abby pointed out to me, there's a mural that can be seen in the shot as they pull out of Musso and Frank of Charlie Chaplin right here. And there must be something with Quentin in this mural, because the couple on the right with the man and the cigar, that portrait can be seen inside George's house on Spahn Ranch. I'll insert that photo and you can see that painting inside George's house. There's a lot of tie-ins with a bunch of weird stuff. Now, Rick and Cliff pull down to Hollywood Boulevard, and right down here is where we first see some of the Manson family members, the hippies, as Rick Dalton refers them to. And this is the shop right here. So I'm out in the street here, but they pull up right here, and he looks over, and you can see all of this. Looks down, hippies are standing right here. This is dirty hippies. And they pull down Hollywood Boulevard right here, and you can see the Sergeant Supply shop, the sign. They cut those trees down for this shot. This is where they head home after having lunch at Musso and Frank. There it is. The whole opening area. And they did film inside Musso and Frank, but this is where it took place. I think it's fantastic that Quentin chose to do the oldest restaurant in Hollywood since 1919. But this is the private dining, and they have the classic dining. But I think it's fantastic that he chose to film it here. Let's move on to the next location. Now we're right next to the Alto Nido Apartments, which you might recognize from the film Sunset Boulevard. Completely different film, but a classic nonetheless. Now Cliff Booth just dropped off Rick Dalton on the set, and he's heading back to the house to work on his roof, and he passes by Pandora's box. They recreated Pandora's box for the film, and this is when we meet the Manson family member Pussycat, and she's trying to get him to give her a lift back to the Spahn Ranch. He says no, he's going the other way. And this right over here next to the Capitol Records building. And the building they used to recreate the Pandora's box looks nothing like it did in the film. Now this is Yucca. We're not far from writer, director, producer Edward D. Wood Jr. His apartment is right down here. And for this shot, this building over here, the MGD Hollywood, was used as Pandora's box. They recreated it for the film, and Pussycat was sitting right over here, and Cliff Booth pulls up right over here. So this is basically the shot. Cliff Booth pulls up, driving Rick Dalton's car, and there was a painting on this. You can see the Capitol Records building. He pulls up and looks over to his left at Pandora's box, and that's when we meet Pussycat for the, I think it's the second time, and she's sitting right over here. This was Pandora's box, and she's sitting right here on a park bench. Crazy. So Cliff, he pulls forward. He went up and passed the Alto Nido Apartments from Sunset Boulevard. A lot of history down here. Now when they're in Musso and Frank, Rick Dalton introduces Mr. Schwartz to his stunt double, and that's when you hear, I believe it is Kurt Russell who does the voiceover for this. He says, "That's a big lie." Talks about Cliff getting his vehicle totaled right here in front of the Frolic room. This is where that scene took place. It's 2 seconds in the film, but I figured you have to show it. Plus I wanted to see Pantages while I was down here on Hollywood Boulevard. Straight ahead is Universal and Universal City. And in the movie, this was Rick Dalton's street, Cielo Drive. This is where Sharon and Roman and Rick Dalton all lived. In reality, it's not Cielo Drive. But straight ahead is where the Polanski and Dalton residence is from the film, right at the top of this hill. Welcome to Cielo Drive, everyone. The first time we see Rick and Cliff driving up, they were driving straight ahead where that Porsche is sitting, and they had the big painting of Rick Dalton. To the left where the gate is the Polanski residence entrance, and there's a shot of Roman and Sharon going up the drive as well. I like that shot, how Quentin showed both characters, both sets of characters driving home, same spot, and how it all ties in together. It was really good storytelling. Now we'll make our way over to the right. This is Rick Dalton's house, where it all went down with Tex and everyone. So many great, fantastic scenes here. Right up there's the roof that Cliff was working on. There's the gate. Man. All right, we're going to match up some photos here. Right there's the door. It was green in the film. It's now red. But you can see Cliff and Rick talking after the meeting at Musso and Frank. Cliff gets in his vehicle right here, and when he backs out and drives down the street, it's a big crane shot, but you can see that house straight ahead to the right, clear as day in the shot. They removed the street pole right here and put in those fake Hollywood lamps that they put in every movie. Now when Sharon and Roman are heading to the Playboy mansion, they come out of the gate here, and you see Rick's house right here. The mailboxes were changed for the film. They went their way as well, and then was a crane shot of Rick Dalton's house and the stairs. Charles Manson pulls up right here. He swings around in the bus, the van, when he's looking for Terry. And that's when Cliff's up there working on the roof, having flashbacks of when he threw Bruce Lee into the car. Tell him to get his crap and get... Honey, I will handle this. Now when Tex arrives, it's basically right here. The stairs are in the background. Once again, they added some fake Hollywood lights straight ahead, kind of where that trash can is. You can see Rick Dalton's shoulder as he's talking to Tex in the vehicle. The camera then gets a point of view from Tex and the Manson family looking straight ahead. Later on, after the best endings or best fight sequences in a Quentin Tarantino film ever, in my opinion, there's a shot from the point of view of the Polanski house looking at Rick, and he's standing right here. Camera turns once again, and you can see him here talking to Jay. They put lights on both sides of the fence, and he's talking through the fence. We look over Rick Dalton's right shoulder from his point of view, and that's when he gets to walk over to that box right there and talk to Sharon. And everyone lived happily ever after. Can't believe we made it here. And now we are walking back down to our car, and this is the same way that they parked the yellow vehicle down the street in Tex, and then walked up to Rick Dalton's house. Goodbye, Rick Dalton's house and Polanski house. If we never see again, happy trails. This is the Santa Susana Pass, and to the left is the former home of Spahn Ranch, where the Manson family did in fact live. And I noticed on the back side of this sign here, a lot of stickers, including one of Charles Manson right there. And this is the way to really get there, is to kind of go down to the bottom, and there is a little path over here. I'm going to see the best way I can kind of get down there if I can. It's a little difficult to get through, but this is, I figured since I was here I'd show the Spahn Ranch spots. So basically, you gotta walk through here. Be careful, because there's like walking paths down here, but I'm obsessed with these rock formations down here. And over here is a church, Santa Susana Pass. And then to get to Spahn, you've got to walk all down here. It's quite a hike. But straight ahead is Spahn Ranch. We're going to head over to the Spahn Ranch that was set in the movie. I'm excited to see it. Further down the road, welcome to the Spahn Ranch that was in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Right here is where Cliff Booth And Pussycat pulled up in Rick Dalton's vehicle, and his point of view was right about here. This might look familiar to you. Insane. To the left was where all the buildings were. Big RV was over here. Barn was over here. There's also a barn here, and to the left was also where the guy had the horses. You can see Cliff stepping out of his vehicle here and walking straight ahead. And then the camera cuts. Now right here is a really wide shot. You can see, I'm gonna put the photo in. This is when Cliff Booth was being pulled into the Spahn Ranch movie set by Pussycat. She was gonna introduce him to everybody in the family. Pay attention to where the building is behind Cliff Booth and the buildings in the front of Pussycat. Also the tree that's in between the building and Pussycat. And then on the top right, there's a boulder. The reservoir thing to the right of it, well, you can't see it right now because you're looking at the photo. They CGI'd it out. So when I remove this photo, you'll see they CGI'd it completely out. But the way the cliff drops down to the left behind the barn, it all adds up right here. This is the shot. That's the tree. The barn was here. The cliff dropping off here. They CGI'd that out. That boulder was in the shot, and all the buildings started here. Cliff Booth was here, and Pussycat was right there next to that tree. Movie magic, unreal. Now as they pass by the Spahn Movie Ranch truck, Pussycat brings Cliff Booth over in this general direction to meet Gypsy. And Gypsy is kind of standing over in this general area here. And he points over and says, "Is this George Spahn still live out here?" He goes, "Is his house right over there?" And George's house was right there, as you can see in the photograph. They had all the cars out here, and all the rocks still look the same. There's one I'm going to show with text, and it involves that. And it was behind the barn. They built a barn right here, and they put a big bus to hide all of this, because all this rock work can be seen in the shot. But let me go back to this one before we get there. This is when the girls are all standing together, kind of getting ticked off that he's asking to go visit George, because George is having his nap. It's his nap time. They were standing right here. George's house was to the right. And then it cut over, and he was standing right about here. And the bus that you'll see with the Manson family member standing in front of was straight ahead, and those little rock work things continue all the way down. But this is where he was standing. And then he made his way over to George's house. So yeah, basically they built a fake barn right here with just some dilapidated wood to kind of block this, and they put a bus right there. Then this mountain always looks like it's has a face on this side of it. And when Tex was in the back of the barn, he was talking to the people who were about to go on the tour. They gave horseback riding lessons, kind of tours here. Well, there's a great shot of Austin Butler, who played Tex. This is before Elvis fame. And that's it, right there. See the face and where the barn and everything. This is overgrown, so he was technically right over here. But I wanted you guys to see. There is a shot of someone riding their horse, and they head this direction. Very cool. All right, let's head over to see George's house, which was built off of this little hill straight ahead. Very interesting how they did this. They just put a house in, big staircase, and used this hill to kind of be Spahn Ranch. It's kind of like the castle at the end of a Disney park, in a way. The way it was set up. So where we're standing right here, you can see Cliff, and he was looking at the two Manson family members as they were walking down the stairs. And he walks up, and he's greeted at the door by Squeaky. And I'm technically walking up the stairs right now. This is a little slippery. This is where they built the house. I would have been standing on the front porch right now. And if you turn back this way, this might look familiar. If you looked off the front porch, this is what you'd be looking at. And right over here where Abby's standing is where they had the, like a old car and the bus and that tree. The Spawn movie truck was right there. Cliff's car was right over here. And all the buildings were built right along this bank here. It's crazy. I watched this movie so much. And the fact that it's I'm standing here kind of blows my mind. And the way these trees are straight ahead, this is how she would have been looking out the front porch at who was pulling up. And then the camera was like right here, zoomed in very well, showing some trees as Cliff walked up to the front porch. Now as he's leaving George's house, this is about it. That boulder right there, there's the pole that goes right here as he's walking out and putting his sunglasses on. That's insane. And then it goes back to a wider shot than this. We were walking into George's house. Where Abby's walking up is the stairs. You would have walked in. This would have been the kitchen area here, the little blocking area, and this would have been the living room. And they would have been set up right here watching TV straight ahead, the windows here. George's room would have been the hallway that went back here in the back. And on this wall right here is where that painting that I showed you on Hollywood Boulevard, off of Hollywood Boulevard, from the Musso and Frank parking lot, that painting shows up again here inside this house. Little Easter egg for you. But if we were Cliff Booth, we would have walked in right here and would have been looking at Squeaky right here, and she would have told us that George is blind. Walk back down the hallway, and I'd say right about here is where George's room would have been. Incredible. I can't believe I'm out here. All right, gonna head down because it's a little easier than walking down where George's staircase was. Now after Cliff talks to George and realizes he doesn't know who he is, but he's all right. He walks out of the house, and once he makes his way down the stairs, he realizes that everyone here is booing him and staring at him, kind of letting him know he's not welcome now because he overstepped his boundaries. They asked him not to do that, and he did. But right here is the shot where Pussycats kicked off at him. He totally knew too. And he walks all the way back down to his car where he realizes they put a knife in not his vehicle, but his boss's vehicle. But he walked back down from George's where his car was parked, right over here. And that's where this mountain comes into play with matching this up. pretty brutal fight scene, you know, but that just kind of showed how tough he was, man. Cliff Booth was a no-nonsense stunt guy. All right, so right about here is where the camera got real low, real low, and showed that there was a knife stuck in the driver's side front tire. You can see his moccasins as he was walking back to the car. And then there was a shot where he was standing where we are. I'm going to go over where the camera was. And the camera crew was looking at the point of view of the hippie who did it. And that was right here. Is where all that took place. That's where the car was parked. The camera turns and you look right over here. This is where the fence was. The barn was right here. And the hippie guy was sitting right there. Unreal. Comes over. They have their little altercation. And this one's my favorite right here. The buildings start here. They were standing here. The cliff line, the mountain range line there adds up. There he is holding by the head. And then if you remember, when he's fighting, they send one of the Manson family girls up that hill and she goes off to the left. I mentioned that earlier. He changes the tire and then he drives out straight ahead, and I'll match it up once we get down over there. Yeah, straight ahead is where Cliff Booth left. He pulled straight ahead and took a left out of here. One last look at Spahn Ranch from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Can't believe I made it out here. Been wanting to do this since I saw the movie. Got a few more spots. And this is it. Straight across the street it says Paramount Pictures Studio Tour entrance. But in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it said Columbia Pictures. This is where Cliff would pick up Rick Dalton after he was filming Lancer, even though those scenes were shot at Universal Studios. But this is the building. He pulled up, picked him up here, and then they kept driving down this general direction, and they actually passed by these sets of posters here outside of the Paramount Pictures Studio Tour. We're on Melrose Avenue. Up here is Leonard Nimoy Way. That's so crazy. But I want to get this one other shot up here just to show the same shot that Quentin did as Cliff picks up Rick Dalton after a long day at the set of Lancer. So he gets picked up right here and they make their way down here. Unreal. A little far away from Universal, not too far, but if he dropped him off here to go film at the Western set at Universal, I think Rick would have to catch a cab. And since I'm here, I'm going to walk down and show you guys the Melrose Gate entrance to Paramount Pictures. Such a cool gate right here. And you can match it up really good right there, and you can see the Hollywood sign as you walk by. And of course the water tower. All right, let's head to the next spot. Welcome to Sherman Oaks, California. Straight ahead, the Casa Vega restaurant. This is where Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth came and got shit-faced. And they kind of said farewell to their careers together, working together. And this is where they kind of just went and had a good old drunken night. So basically, they probably would have blocked off Ventura Boulevard here And the camera was down here. They pulled in this entrance and the lights are still here. So it does light up at night. But basically in the movie, they pull straight ahead, as you can see. And then they pulled right here, where they were met by the valet attendant. There's a lot of valet attendants in Hollywood, and I think they have one here as well. But yeah, this is the Casa Vega restaurant. I can't believe this. I've wanted to see this for quite some time. There's a billboard right over here that how I escaped my cult, which is kind of fitting for this movie. But in the movie, it was it says candy. Is candy faithful only to the book? That was the billboard there. And there's KHJ is where those law offices was. That was KHJ. I think that was a nod to KHJ, the radio station. And the palm tree right here is seen in the film as they were pulling up. They pulled in at 8:32 p.m. in the movie, and they had it all lit up as they got out of the vehicle. But that's a wrap on Casa Vega. Glad I got to see this and add it to the list. Let's move on to the next location. It's cool. I think they basically like blocked this one out, illuminated this for the KHJ, and then didn't illuminate that one. And that was the candy billboard for the movie. Straight ahead is the Bruin Theater. This is where Sharon Tate came to see Dean Martin and herself and the Wrecking Crew. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. It looks just like it did in the movie. Right here is where Sharon walked up and was trying to get a ticket. And then she asked the lady, what if you're in it? And she said, what do you mean? And she said, what if you're in the film? And she was like, you're in this? And she said, yes, I'm Sharon Tate. And she was like, but that's the girl who was in Valley of the Dolls. And she's like, well, I'm the girl in Valley of the Dolls. It all took place right here. The camera, the lady was sitting in there. And that camera angle, sorry for the glare in the sun, but that's it. And you can see the Westwood Theater right there. And then right here, right there is where she was standing, and they were telling them, hey, you can come inside and see the film. And she was standing right here in front of this door. Pretty awesome. She's also standing right here. She can see the across the street. That's where she did cross the street. I forgot. Apologize for that dude talking. He's doing his own vlog. However, she looks over and she sees her right here was where they had, I think it was covering this door. Yeah, they had the lobby cards here from the film. And on the left and right, I believe, was the Wrecking Crew. But I know the Wrecking Crew poster was right here for sure. And she walks up to see it. But when she's over here talking to the lady in the front, trying to get her ticket, it was like right here. And she points to her photo, which was right there. And then one of my favorite shots too, if I can get this glare out of it. She's sitting there and she opens the door and says, hey, come here for a minute. So the lady comes out. I gotta walk back over here. Just ignore this fella talking. He's like doing a protest video or something. But the other girl walks out of here and she's taking a photo. And this is where Sharon poses You want to go there and pose, Abby? Do your best Sharon Tate. Same thing, but face this way. That nailed it. Did it. Very cool. This is it, man. I wonder if you can see on the inside. It might be just completely... No, that's it. Look at that. Wow. That's the theater. Now, right across the street here was the travel agency. It's where that orange banner is. That was the travel agency where she crawled across, and to the left is where she went and got her book that she ordered for Roman. I love this right out front. I can't believe it. This is where it all took place. It's closed now and it's really sad. But all the scenes took place right here in this little circle. Got one more shot to match up on our way back to the car. She walks in front of the Fox Westwood Village, which is also closed. So yeah, that guy across the way actually, who was yelling and talking nonsense, actually got in Maya and Abby's face. Kind of chewed us out a little bit after he just went off on the internet about there not being enough love in the world. He decided then to call us some horrible, nasty things. And all I wanted to do was show where Sharon Tate went and saw her film. But she walked in front of this, the Westwood Village, and then she crossed the street, and this is the shot where she walked right across to see her film. What an iconic shot. I wish the the billboard and everything was still accessible. They blacked it out.
Second round, Pinbo's rolling around.
Here we go. He's talking again. You guys can hear him. But that's it. That's a wrap on this. I will never forget this. I really won't. Time to get out of here. So I apologize for that guy talking the entire time. He was in there doing a protest video, and then he verbally started attacking and assaulting Abby and I for being over there. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun. You gotta love those kind of folks. But let's head to the next spot. We're gonna go to Cielo Drive, where they drive up to the real Sharon Tate house, but it's a cut. So in the film, they constantly are driving up Cielo Drive, and they just do a superimposed shot where they kind of like, they shoot one shot and then they cut and they go to Rick Dalton's house that was over by Universal Studios. And but I did think that it was cool they filmed on the Cielo Drive little turn there. So we're gonna go visit that first, and then I'm gonna drive up the Cielo Drive and see the Sharon Tate, Roman Polanski entrance, their gate to their actual house. Let's go. This is the Cielo Drive right here.
In a quarter mile, turn right onto North Bella Drive.
And then up here is North Bella Drive. This is the drive that they had them drive up to the real Sharon Tate house. Right here is where in the movie you could see them driving down so many times to the right. That is Cielo Drive. And we're gonna drive up here and see what happens. This is the real Cielo Drive. Sharon Tate's house is straight ahead at the very end of this road. It's a ways up here, but this is technically where Rick Dalton should have lived. But this is where the Manson murders happened on that August evening. Oh my gosh. That's it, straight ahead. There's an Amazon guy I'm gonna have to pass. But that's it. I never thought I'd see this. That's the pole to the right that Tex would have cut. Right there. That's where it all happened. And now it's time to go. Now this is what the point of view of Cliff and Roman Polanski and anybody else who would drive up, Tex, this is what the point of view would have been. Look at this Amazon guy here. I'm going to try and go past him if I can. Please don't open up your car, man.
You're good.
Okay. All right, you go. But this right here is the Cielo Drive sign. Would have been straight ahead right there. They put it in here. And they would have, I mean, he floored it out of here, which is easy to do. They would have just blocked this street, which is not busy. And this is the way he would have spun out of there. We did it. Well, next stop, the El Coyote, where Sharon Tate, in the film and in real life, had her final meal. And we're gonna have dinner there tonight. Further down the road, we made it to the El Coyote Mexican food. We're gonna eat dinner here. This is where Sharon actually had her final meal, but it was used in the filming for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They pulled up just like us. You pull in right here, you pull up, they will valet your car like most restaurants in Los Angeles. Movie, they're walking and there's a premiere happening straight ahead, and it's for adult movies, and Sharon didn't know that pornographic movies have premieres. I think Jay says something like, "There's so much fun." And there's Sharon, a real photo of Sharon. This is it. There's a lot of behind the scenes of Quentin and everybody blocking this off and all the cars driving by and them doing everything, but we're gonna go inside and have dinner. You ready? Let's go. But that family is seated to the right of Abby is where Sharon ate her final meal. We're about to order. And I went with the burrito with beef. And Abby went with the burrito with chicken. And this is where our adventure comes to an end. With the El Coyote Mexican food. I can't believe we did everything today. Except for the Hollywood and Vine stuff. What a fun-filled day. It's been a long day. But I'm full of a burrito. And I got to eat right next to where Sharon Tate had her final meal. Thanks for watching. This film is genius. I love this film. Abby and I love this film. Quentin Tarantino outdid himself. As a love letter written to Hollywood, it was kind of a love letter written to me too. I'll see you guys on the next episode. We'll also leave you with a quote that Quentin Tarantino always says as he finishes wrapping up a scene for the end of the day. Why do we do this? Because we love making movies. Goodbye. Also walked down the street to show this, the Beverly Cinema here, Django Unchained, on Friday, and always on film, Mia Goth and Ty West, Pearl and Maxine. That's insane. I love that. As the Target bus goes by to block it. So another Quentin Tarantino tie-in right down the street from the El Coyote Theater.